So, The Odyssey. It is a brand new movie directed by Christopher Nolan. We got Tom Holland, Zendaya, Haley Page, Matt Damon, Robert Pattinson, Annie Hathaway, Charlie, a whole bunch of well-known actors, pretty much. A whole bunch of big names. So, does all of those names actually carry through with the movie? And I would say yes and no. So let's get straight into it. First, we got to talk about the runtime of the movie. The movie is almost 3 hours long, 2 hours and 53 minutes. And does it use that time wisely? Yes. There's no kind of like extra scenes. There's nothing that really drags. Everything takes its time as it should. The scenes are impactful, and even some of them are very action-packed, very dramatic, with lots of emotion. But the runtime is not an issue. Some people will be like, "Oh, well, this movie's too long." No. What might be an issue for people is the pacing of the movie, which is it's not slow. Is that there's a lot of context here. There's a lot of to this brisket. But the thing is, I didn't know this, but apparently Christopher Nolan's style is just tons of flashbacks and going back and forth and having like a couple mysteries and reveals. And I felt like for this movie, it kind of worked and it kind of didn't. It's a bit of 50-50 for me because with the whole of his directing style and how the movie was organized and presented, it sometimes the pacing would have been cut off by what was happening within the flashback and then coming back to what would be happening today with the characters. Because the structure of the movie is A plot, B plot, they come together, but a lot of the movie is just flashback plot. And I mean, maybe I just don't understand his style, or I just think his style is a little bit redundant, but why not just have the movie go in chronological order, and then the halfway point it's when we split off into the A plot and the B plot. Because at the very beginning, plot is set, things are set in motion. Tom Holland goes and begins his quest, and then it stopped. And he really doesn't do much for the rest of the movie. Zendaya is also in the movie, and she really doesn't do anything. A lot of these are big name actors literally don't do anything in the movie. Elliot Page, she's great in the Umbrella Academy when that stuff was coming out. And in this movie, I kid you not, is there for 3 scenes at the beginning of the movie, and then she's gone. That was her whole role. Why? I don't know. I would have liked to see more of her within how they kept doing the flashbacks and jumping from present to past. But she just doesn't get to do anything. And you're just there like, okay, why? Like, I would like to see more of her in the movie. And the same thing for Zendaya. They're just kind of there to put a name on the poster. They don't really do much with the actors that they have and the characters that they're playing. I thought like Elliot Page character is really important to the plot, but we don't really get to meet her. We don't really get to like know a lot about it. It's just kind of like a thing to move the plot forward, and I would have liked seen more of that. And I feel like if the movie was set chronologically from start to finish, it would have been much better to include those big name actors and also to clear up some of the confusion between the events and some of the scenes. With Zendaya, she's there like 5 scenes, 6, like 6 or 7 scenes. It was more like 5 or 6. It really was not that many. She was not part of the movie almost at all. So also I don't really know the budget for this film, but it might be a little crazy with all these actors over here. I can actually look it up. Like, so the movie is R-rated. It's $250 million shot in IMAX, or like shot for IMAX. See, I'm trying to look at information over here, not including marketing and all that. I don't really care about the marketing. I don't know why people spend so much money on marketing now. Just upload a TikTok and just have Zendaya do a little dance, and then there you go. That's your promotion for the movie. Basically, I guess like total cost would be 400 to 500 million, but the actual cost of making the movie is $250 million. Is this a $250 million movie? I'm not sure. Maybe for what they paid some of the actors, for how little they were in the movie, kind of. But in terms of visuals and the things that they do, like creativity, it was pretty interesting. There was lots of engaging action scenes, lots of engaging drama. The drama was really good. I really don't compliment that, but the drama was really good, and I was invested in the conflict that the characters were having. I don't want to give too much away. This is a spoiler-free section. Later on, we'll move on to the spoiler section. The conflict was interesting. Now, it's based on the Odyssey. So, me personally, I don't really know a lot about it, so I'm just basing it solely on the context of the movie and what the movie wanted to portray. And I know there's some big differences in the actual story and what the movie is. Does that take away from it? No. But later on, there might be some stuff that character-wise and the plot-wise doesn't really make sense. That's because you need to know the actual Odyssey story and it will make more sense. To me, that didn't know anything about the movie, I didn't even know the actors that were in it, didn't know the story of the Odyssey and whatnot. Solely basing it on itself as a movie, it was entertaining, and I'm not sure if I could really call it unique, because it's basically just rewriting a story that has already been written and just doing like your own tweaks to it. There could be some unique elements to it, but I'm personally not really sure because, like I said, I don't really know much of the story. If y'all know some of the story, make sure to put it down in the comments below, and I can read that and I can have a bit more context. But as itself, as me watching the movie and the storytelling, I was invested, I was entertained. I did feel like some of the main, well, not the main characters, I feel like some of the supporting characters were a bit weak in their motivation. There's lots of characters, lots of locations. We really focus on like three or four characters are the main like emotional anchor to the movie. But I would have liked a little bit more for their supporting characters, because at the end there's like this big, you know, you always gotta have the conflict and the resolution and the story arcs. But it was really, I will give it that. The ending was like, I would say, satisfying, which I thought it was not gonna be like that, since the movie was so long, or the pacing of it going with the back and forth flashback and stuff. I honestly thought, I was sitting in the theater and I was like, hey, is this gonna be a two-part? Like, not much is happening. Is this gonna be a two-part movie? No, the story gets resolved within the 3 hours, which is really saved it for me. If it was like a two-part thing, nah, I would have given it a thumbs down. But so far it's half thumbs up. It's enjoyable. There's lots of unsettling scenes. I will say that there's lots of unsettling scenes that I kind of liked a bit, in the terms of like, oh, we have magic and mystical creatures, and we have all this Greek mythology and Roman mythology. I think it is, and that's what made it appealing. Especially with some of the stuff they encounter. But the plot is simple, a little flimsy at times because of the flashback back and forth, and it's a lot of like, oh, we gotta go find this and then go do this. Not to traveling, but I guess that's kind of how the movie is. Now, before I move on to spoilers, is this worth seeing on IMAX? Because some of the advertisements that I saw were like, watch it on the big screen, the biggest screen possible. No, I don't think it's really worth watching it on IMAX. I don't know about 3D though. I don't know if watching it on 3D would also be worth. I think just watching the movie normally would be fine. Is this something you can enjoy in the movie theater? I would say, yeah, if you're looking for a movie to watch, or you've been anticipating this movie, something to see, yeah, I would watch this movie. If you're not a fan of superheroes, because in a week Spider-Man comes out with Tom Holland. So if you're just somebody who just wants a casual, entertaining movie, I would say the Odyssey is for you. And really my complaints about how the story was structured is not to be taken as like, oh, this movie sucked, it was the worst thing I've ever seen. No, it was actually engaging and entertaining, and the drama was amusing, and the plot and the characters, like I was really invested in the drama. Like, okay, how are they gonna get out of these situations that they put in? Towards the end, it got a little bit annoying because I felt like it was a little forced, but it was to build up the tension and build up the climax of the final, like the third act of the movie, the climax. And after how the story was resolved, I was like, you know what, I give it a pass. The way the story was resolved was serviceable enough. If it had resolved in a different way, I think I would have disliked the movie, because just like how the movie is a journey, it was a journey and a challenge to just be awake and not be confused by constantly jumping back from past to present, and from different characters' point of view of past and present, instead of just saying the things chronologically. And like, I would have forgive it a little more, like from the way it was done. But the problem is there wasn't any kind of big reveal or secret that took advantage of the past and present switching back perspectives. There wasn't like some sort of information that will put together or piece together as the story progressed. It was just like, okay, this happening, or this happened, and now this happened, and now this is happening now, and then this happened, and then this happened. And it does kind of take away from some of the tension, because you kind of know and it's gonna happen since you're in the present. We could going back to the past, and that's the thing. There isn't like a mystery that keeps you intrigued with, oh, what's different between then and now. And I think that's what it really needed. And same thing with the supporting characters, the supporting cast. They really needed to, and then that's why, like Zendaya and Elliot Page, I'm like, why are they not in the movie more? I thought they were gonna be in the movie more. I think really the only thing that kind of like holds it back from making that stylistic choice, really like pushing it out to its full potential. Because I get it, that's what he likes to do, but it seems a little unnecessary with the length of this movie. and how there's enough for it to be like first half, first act, middle, then second half is now in the present, and then boom, we have ourselves the resolution and then the climax and all that. So I liked it, and you're looking for a summer movie, I would say yeah. So I liked it, and you're looking for a summer movie, I would say yeah. It's not bad. You had 3 hours to spend on the movie theater. You should go watch it. You should go watch it and just enjoy watching it. Now for the spoiler section. Let's say before that was a spoiler-free section. Now there's a spoiler section. Before we continue, if you haven't seen the movie and you want to see it, make sure to like this video and save it for later so we can talk about it in the spoiler discussion. Or if you don't want to see the movie, you kind of want to know what happens and see how it unfolds before you make your decision, just stick around for this. So we're going to go from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie. Basically going to describe what happens beginning. Tom Holland is a kingdom without a king. Main character Odysseus, he's been gone after the Trojan War. Nobody knows where he is, and the kingdom needs a king, so there's like this power struggle, and Tom Holland goes to find his father, and he meets somebody who fought in that war with him, and basically tells him the story of the war, right? The Trojan horse and how they got in and all that. But as that's happening, right from the beginning of the movie, we find out that he's actually alive and is being held captive by this lady who is basically making him forget his memory so he will stay with her. That point of him staying with her is not really addressed in the movie, but in the mythology, she loves him and was erasing his memory so he could stay there and like they could live happily ever after and just be in love with each other. But in the movie, that's not really portrayed. It's just like he has dementia. He doesn't know where he is or what's going on. And then suddenly he starts asking about his past at the exact moment that everything is gonna go down, and Tom Holland's looking for his dad and for Odysseus. His dad is Odysseus, and basically it's one of those things where like a little plot contrivance that, oh, this so happens to happen at the exact same time that we need this other thing to happen, even though he's been lost for 7 years, and apparently people trying to take over the kingdom has been going on for 3 years. So it's like, why haven't this happened between any time between the 7 years? No, it happens at the exact time when everything's about to go down and Tom Holland needs to find them or the kingdom will be destroyed. A little plot contrivance. But while he's over there with that lady, he's trying to remember, he's telling the lady stories about the past. So Tom Holland tells you while he's talking to that guy in the war, that tells us the very beginning, the war and the battles and stuff. And then Odysseus is telling us what happened after that, and basically he's telling us all that until we get to present day, and then in the third act is the final. You know, we're now at the modern time where Tom Holland is at, and then we continue on with the movie. The thing is when you're watching the scenes with him and his army crew, because basically they won the war, right, and then they're trying to go home, and the whole movie is like 2 hours and 30 of the whole movie. No, like 2 hours of the whole movie is basically him just trying to find his way back home, and the effects that has on him and his men. Oh no, that's a lie. Not really on his men. It's the effects that it has on him. His men, his supporting crew, supporting cast really don't get much characterization. They don't really get much stuff to shine in the spotlight, reason for you to care about them, because you know that no matter what happens or whatever tension they put Odysseus is that he's gonna be alive, because he's telling us the past. We're watching flashbacks, so it kind of takes away some of the tension from those scenes, because you know he can't die. Nothing's gonna happen to him because he needs to be here for the third act, and because he's alive in the present day. So where your tension comes from, and your worry about the characters and all these whimsical and magical things that they go through in the different islands and the ocean, fighting ocean monsters and ogres and beasts and all this stuff, needs to be from his crew. But you don't really know the crew. I don't really remember any of the crew's name. I mean, I only remember the main guy's name, but I don't remember anything else. Like, I guess Athena? Homer? No, I'm kidding. Well, no, but no, there was no Homer. There was no tension for those scenes. You're just kind of watching the crew slowly dwindle in numbers and how he got stranded. You kind of don't care because you don't really know the crew. You don't know why they're important, why he cares so much about them. Okay, they're his men, but it's the mental toll on him that it takes. And the problem with the reveal that he does is that they're basically saying that he's cursed by the gods, right? And what's happening to him and him losing all his men is punishment and torture by the gods. But you don't get explanation to why he's cursed until the end of the movie. So you're kind of just watching all this stuff happen, and it's like, why is this happening to his crew? By the way, Tom Holland already knew the beginning of the movie because somebody told him. It leaves out parts of that story to then at the end tell you the rest of the story and have this kind of reveal. But the reveal is not really like engaging. It's not really plot point like a big twist in the story. It's just kind of like extra information. Plot point like a big twist in the story. It's just kind of like extra information. But that was essentially something that you needed at the very beginning to then understand, like, okay, there's a reason to why all this is happening and why we're seeing all these crazy things happening in their journey as they move along to try to get back home. In their journey as they move along to try to get back home. Well, they then, he manages to get back home, and basically what happens is that once he gets home, he doesn't tell anybody who he is, and they're trying to pretty much like cover up who he is, and like why he's here, because he wants to make a big entrance, have a big reveal at the very end. So he basically gets home, and they're doing like this kind of cover up because he doesn't want to reveal who he is, because he wants to have this sort of like big entrance to be like, oh yeah, I'm home, and whatnot, and whatnot. And this basically at the end of the movie, he so happens to be there at the exact time at which because Tom Holland is his son, right? He's gonna get killed so they can take the throne. But then his dad saves him, so this year saves him, and they so happen to be at the exact same time that he leaves the island for him to go there. Anyways, they go back home, right? And basically, Odysseus and Telemachus, that's Tom Holland's character, basically have this plan to basically make his great comeback and show that he's not dead and that he's gonna take back the throne. And then there's the final fight at the end, big action, and then the movie ends, conflict gets resolved, and they have a happy ending, pretty much. But everything in between, all the fights and stuff, it was really all that flashback and going back and forth really took away the tension from me, because we're like, the main character can't die. We know what happens to him. He needs to get back home, and he's alive in the present day. What tension are we having? What's the stakes here? Oh, well, the stakes is his crew. But like I said, we don't really know his crew. We don't really know why we should care about them. And it's mainly those three people that Odysseus, Telemachus, and the wife. I think her name was Penelope. Yes, the wife was named Penelope. I don't see, like, they don't really say anybody's names but Odysseus over and over again. So I'm a little like, can't really remember the names of the characters. Over here looking it up so I can get it correct, like tell you pretty much what's happening. Yeah, it's just like, okay, this was the center focus. These three characters, like the family, right? The family was the main focus of the story. But the thing is that 2 hours, literally the whole movie was about Odysseus. So it's like, why are we having this back and forth like family conflict when the whole movie was about this dad? The movie should have just started with the dad and then moved on to the family conflict because of the actions of the dad. I guess they just don't like that. Christopher Nolan, he's just like, no, that's not how I do things. And like I said, it would have been better that if he was gonna do that, right? That's how you made the movie. For us to have the movie structured that way, we would care about the supporting cast, because we know what happens to the main character. To care for other things that would happen, because every time there will be a flashback, we'll be like, well, he's gonna be okay. So we're just watching scenes happen, and how he's like deteriorating. But we know how his condition leaves him. It's not like we're seeing him slowly deteriorate. It's like, no, we saw him deteriorated, and now we're seeing how he got that way. But it's like, why not just go through the journey with him, and then us as the audience can feel that same way once we get to that point. Same thing, that there's no big twist or no big kind of reveal to really complement the whole going back and forth perspective. And at the end, it's kind of like lackluster. It's like, really, that was like the big secret that you were hiding, which basically is that the reason why Zendaya is in the movie is because she's like a ghost that's haunting him. He killed her, or basically he broke Zeus's law, because the Trojan horse was basically a lie, because it was a peace offering and they turned it into a war. And so they killed everybody and they killed Zendaya, and now her ghost is haunting him. But like I said, she's only there for 5 scenes and that's it. Why have her in the movie when she's not even in the movie? It's weird. She should have been way more involved in the movie. The main character hallucinates her more, and like you can even have some gags, so like his crew being like, hey, are you okay? Why are you talking to yourself? Something like that. But I just didn't have it. Overall, I think this movie, we're gonna give it a rating. We can go from 1 to 10, or we can go from like, don't watch it on streaming, watch it in the theater. I feel like if you can watch it on streaming or in the theater, terrible movie. No. And it's not a bad movie either. It was just like some things they could have done to really hone in those emotional moments, the impact of the emotional moments that they really wanted to portray, because there was some emotion. There was actually emotion in the movie. There were stakes. There was compelling characters. Nobody really has a character arc. A little bit. Tom Holland's character, Telemachus, I think that's how you say it. Yeah, like a small character arc. Besides that, to really like hone in those points, because like you felt the tension, you felt the drama, you felt the emotion. It just needed to be structured in a way in order for it to like for you to feel it at the same time our characters are feeling it, and for you to like really be like, oh wow, like this person is feeling dread and sadness about this particular thing. I feel what they're feeling, instead of being like, okay, we know what this is, we know how we were supposed to feel. Now we're just waiting for the characters to just do it and feel those emotions, instead of us feeling it with them and having a more impactful set of emotions with what they were trying to do, which I'll give it credit for, because there was some emotion in it. A little bit of a theme, I don't think much of a theme, but there were some themes. It just needed a little more to really like hone it in. I would watch this movie on streaming or watch it in the movie theater. There's really, I wouldn't say don't watch the movie if you want to and there's time for it. Yeah, you can give it a watch. And from a scale of 1 to 10, it's difficult. I want to say, let's start off with how the grading is. 1 or 0 is basically, 0 would be like, don't watch it under any circumstance, it's just terrible. 1 is like, okay, there's possibility of watching it, I don't know why you would watch it. 10 is like, oh yeah, great movie, definitely watch it. 11 is like, perfect masterpiece, you have to watch this in your lifetime. Oh, and 5 would be average. So 4 would be below average, 6 would be above average. Thinking the movie really didn't like, wow, like super amaze me, but I did enjoy it. I did like the characters, I liked the journey, the stuff that they fought, like the things that they fought, the satisfying ending. It was just those other things in between. Maybe like a 7 or an 8. Can't really make up my mind. I would have to like rewatch the movie. I also don't like kind of doing reviews when I watch the movie once. Maybe I can do another review once I watch it again. To me, I think a film really holds a lot of its weight and value if you're able to rewatch it. If you're able to rewatch the film and not get bored of it, then can constitute for like a 10 out of 10 or 11 out of 10 film. I think maybe like a 10 out of 10 or 11 out of 10 film, but I think maybe if you were to rewatch this movie, you'll probably bring it down to a 7, but if you watch it one time and then that's it, probably be an 8. So between a 7 and an 8. If you watch it once, 8. If you watch it more than once, 7. And why is 8 like if you watch it once higher? Because it'll be like your initial watch, doing your initial impressions, but once you look into it more, you're like, yeah, it wasn't really as enjoyable as the first time, and the movie should be enjoyable no matter how many times you watch it. But I think it was really that whole structure that, okay, you're gonna do the whole flashback, flash forward, present, and past. You need to have some interesting mystery or something that we need to unravel from having this dual perspective and not having all the context. So I think my final verdict for the movie would be, and this is tough, I want to go with a 7. I think my final verdict for this would be a 7. Anyways, thank you very much for watching and listening. Hope that this review was insightful. If you're thinking of watching the movie, I would say yeah, it's enjoyable, or wait for it to come, whatever streaming service is going to be on, and watch it. Definitely not a bad movie, but not an amazingly perfect movie, but still enjoyable. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.